Good afternoon. Today we are here to introduce to you TechGym. TechGym is our robotic rehabilitation company that will assist stroke patients and physiotherapists in the rehabilitation process. My name is Thirunisha Thirumurugan. I'm a mechatronic engineering student and I'm a programmer. I have been recognized for my community work within the society, and I'm a proud advocate of women in engineering. Currently, our team consists of myself and my other co-founder, Rowan Smith. Rowan is a mechanical and mechatronic engineering student, and he comes with a background of business and sales skills to ensure that our startup is a success. Combining this with his rich technical and mechanical skill, he is an invaluable asset for our product development also. Together, we have been working throughout the year to develop our company as well as our product to help the rehabilitation market.
Here we go. This is my 94-year-old grandmother, Lorna. She lives in an aged care facility, but she has her own home, her own garden, and her own kitchen. My nan, she loves to cook, and her cheesecakes are phenomenal. I love them dearly. The most important thing to my nan, though, is her independence. Unfortunately, at the end of last year, just like 15 million other people, her independence was taken away from her in a split second. She had a stroke. She lost complete control of the right-hand side of her body. She lost the ability to talk and walk properly. Now, I want you to imagine this with me. You've been stuck in a hospital bed for 3 weeks now. Your physiotherapist has only come around to see you every second day, and they can only stay for 20 minutes each time because there's so many other patients to serve. Between these sessions, you're left with tedious tasks such as buttoning and unbuttoning your shirt up to 1,000 times per day. The biggest complaint that my nan had was that she was constantly bored. She was looking for something exciting to do. And this is where I thought, well, what can I do? Can I create a product that is fun and interactive, that uses music and games to make it more immersive for her? While spending time with her at a rehabilitation center, I also found out a lot about the physiotherapists. In fact, 67% of them injure themselves in their line of work. And this is why I started TechGym with my CTO, Nisha. Now today, I'm extremely excited to show you the first product of TechGym, the Universal Care. It is an upper limb rehabilitation device that provides strength training to the shoulder and to the elbow. Now, I don't know about you, but the idea of a physiotherapist physically grabbing me with their hands, moving me up and down, back and forth, it doesn't particularly excite me, and nor does it excite a stroke patient who's 94 years old. This is why we've created an ergonomic and comfortable arm cast that's on a robot that'll improve this process. Move down a little. Our patients use our device by either standing or sitting next to the machine. They place their arm into the arm cast on the end of the robot. The robot will provide the assistance that they need to perform the rehabilitation exercises. The Universal Care automates a series of rehabilitation games, as well as can be controlled by the physiotherapist remotely. The physiotherapist can put their hand in front of the patient and encourage them to move along with them. As the patient struggles to move along, the robot will provide the assistance and the care to complete this task. This eliminates the physiotherapist having to physically manhandle that patient, exerting large amounts of energy on a repetitive basis all day long. And hence, we also reduce the injury rate to physiotherapists. Whilst the patient uses our device, it will automatically collect data corresponding to their progress. This helps the physiotherapist to track their performance, their health status, and also to plan future exercises for their patient. In short, we help them save time as well. To achieve all of this, we're using a pre-existing robotic arm. We have fitted it out with our peripheral devices, and we've programmed it we've developed it to program a series of rehabilitation exercises throughout a patient's entire rehabilitation process. We are working towards giving our patients their independence again and seeing them return home with their original strength.
As robotic rehabilitation is an emerging industry in Australia, TechGym will be the first to the market. Our main competitors from Europe and the United States are yet to break into the Australian market and would require medical approvals to do so. This means that TechGym has a wide range of rehabilitation centers, private clinics, and hospitals to sell directly to. Upon speaking with physiotherapists about our main competitor, Hokoma, we found out why their products are being underutilized in the rehabilitation centers. Not only their product is 3 times as expensive as Universal Care, it consumes up to 20 minutes to strap in a patient, where Universal Care can do this in under 2 minutes. Our product is lighter than theirs by 300 pounds and simply smaller in size as well. Our machine comes with caster wheels, and this makes it to move around as easy as moving a patient in a wheelchair. Dr. Michael Lee is a PhD researcher for robotic rehabilitation at our university. When we approached him to review our product, he was extremely impressed by the design and mentioned how excited he is to test it with his patients in the near future. He also appreciated the flexibility and the longer range of motion that Universal Care can provide. When a client purchases Universal Care, they will have a station technician come in from our company to install the device. This technician will install the robotic arm on a mobile and portable stand and set up the computer and the monitor as well. Then they will make sure to train the physiotherapist and give them the confidence and the comfortability in using our device. As Rowan mentioned earlier, 15 million stroke instances occur each year around the world, and 5 million of these patients require rehabilitation. We are working towards developing our company with many other prototypes to help these patients all around the world. By 2021, the Australian robotic rehabilitation market will be a $1.1 billion market, and that will be on trend when we are making the high volume sales. Our plan to capture the first customer is by targeting our focus group that we will be working with during our product development. We will be customizing Universal Care to suit their need, and thereby we can sell our first product to their clinic.
We plan on selling the Universal Care for 90,000 Australian dollars. Now this represents a gross margin of 64% per unit, or $52,500 profit. We predict that we'll break even after we sell 8 units, and that this will occur within 2.5 years of being approved by the medical institutions within Australia. Looking at a 5-year plan, we'll have 41 units across Australia, and this will represent $4 million in sales and over $500,000 in operating profit. To make all of this happen, we require 2 different levels of funding. The first from crowdsource, and secondly from angel investors. We'll require $150,000 from our crowdsource funding to set up the initial business and pay for our product development. At the beginning of our second year, we'll target angel investors with our social enterprise company and ask them for $500,000. This will be used to pay for the salaries and also to purchase the stock for our first few units to sell.
Our vision for TechGym is to have our patient walk into a gym and see multiple rehabilitation stations that incorporate our robotic and gamified technology. These stations will allow the physiotherapist to perform rehabilitation for multiple patients at the same time while providing the patients with an immersive and interactive experience. If TechGym can achieve this, we will be able to improve how many patients a physiotherapist can serve per day. We will be able to relieve the stress, the pain, the injury that the physiotherapists have to go through each and every day. And most importantly, we will be able to improve the quality of life of our patients. To achieve this vision, we have been working on other prototypes such as Rehab to the Beat, networking with patients and physiotherapists, starting conversation with potential investors, and inquiring into our university's accelerator program. Now, TechGym is an idea, but with your support, it will be a startup company that will compete in the rehabilitation market and help the people in need. Thank you.
Well done, Michelle.
Very well done, guys. Big market, global market. As you start thinking, you giving your vision of what physical therapists will be doing in the future. As medicine has been delivered, it's being delivered at lower and lower level. What's required for this product to be accepted in a physical therapy department, and at what point can this be dumbed down so that an assistant physical therapist can do that and have many more people in that lab, so it's not 20 minutes every other day?
Yeah. Do you want to see the first part?
Yes,
I can see?
I'll explain the first part. So that is to get approvals in Australia, we have to go through TGA, which is the Therapeutic Goods Administration approval. And for this, this process is very easy with Universal Care since it's a non-invasive device. And the main risk that is associated with is that it's connected to the power supply. And this is very common in the daily products. So it takes around 6 to 12 months to get the approval. And for the second part, Rowan will explain that.
Yeah, so looking at what the future physiotherapists will look like, you saw a bunch of different people actually control that robot just then. In the future, it is going to be a very different market, and if we can take off a lot of stresses and pains, it means the people that have the knowledge and the skills as physiotherapists can be the ones prescribing those exercises. Imagine going in, you've got one for your arm, your leg, maybe your back, and so forth. They can tell you how to do those exercises, but then have the supervisor, like at a gym, that goes, yeah, okay, maybe do this now instead. It is going to be getting a lot simpler, which means that the physiotherapists that are in demand, we can utilize them better, but then bring in support staff such as maybe student physiotherapists that can do these exercises with the patients, and that'll improve our shortage, which is a huge problem in Australia.
Good job, guys. I'm particularly interested in saboteurs in this market. So physiotherapists, what I heard you say is they would be able to deal with more patients at one time. Have you talked to physiotherapists about this opportunity, and is that something that they would be interested in, having to manage several people with robots versus one at a time, which is quite an immersive experience itself, right?
Yeah, so currently what they're doing is the ratio's wrong. It's 3 physiotherapists to 1 patient sometimes. If you need them to stand, so a really good example, when I was with my nan, there was 2 physiotherapists. I had to be the third. They said, we need somebody else to come and hold her upright. So they had to bring more people in. So they're currently having to bring more physios in. So if we can split them up and actually serve more patients, it'll be a lot easier. We look at trying to flip that ratio. If we can have 1 to 3, it'd be even better.
So have you talked to physiotherapists?
Yes, so we've interviewed a range of them, and they're very interested in that kind of thing, particularly Dr. Michael Lee, who's from our university. He's been a physiotherapist all his life, and he's really excited about these new technologies coming out. They've purchased 3 or 4 different machines from around the world, and we saw them, and we kind of went, wow, is that it? And we went, we can do something better. And that was the moment we kind of started working on everything, and he's excited to come back and work with us when we return to Sydney.
Jonathan, do we have any audience questions?
We do, Todd. A question from the audience, which is getting some upvotes. How will TechGym address the liability risk of the robot potentially injuring the patient?
Oh, this is fantastic. Nisha, can you go to that slide, please? Yes. Yeah, cool. All right, so this is actually a collaborative robot. Not many people know about this. I didn't until the start of the year. So we got about 4 of these robots delivered, and they're extremely safe. They're made to operate around humans. You don't need these big safety fences anymore. In fact, if you give it more than a shove like this, or it shoves you like that, it will stop within 0.4 of a second. It's really, really cool technology. If you look up on the top corner of the picture, you can actually see one doing invasive surgery. It's already being used in medical devices to go inside of bodies. Well, there it's a prototype, but we're using it just outside, which is pretty safe.
So that was sort of where my question was going. This is an existing device that you adapted to work in this environment. And how did you figure that out? It seems like because of the range of motion, that's your differentiator versus what exists in the market today. Yeah,
correct. So we're very fortunate that this new technology has come out recently. It's extremely cheap compared to industrial robots, and its range of motion is huge. We got experience at the start of this year when we took a summer class at a university. We were the first ones to pull this out of the box, and then the representative from their company came out and said, please tell us what we can do with it. What don't you like about it? Where do you want to see this? And we said, well, we want to help stroke patients. And he said, that's great. It's already being used in a medical hospital for lifts and hoists onto there. They're really keen to try and re-envision how collaborative robots are used in the future. And we used a collaborative classroom of about 10 students to come up with these different ideas.
So following that through, what are the barriers to competitors coming in, let's say, outside Australia and utilizing the same technology and developing, in essence, your idea and taking it to market somewhere else?
The complexity, I probably undersold how easy it was to program and the skills involved in this. It is a very high level of expertise of robotics, and that is what we do. That's the easy part for us. So there will be a bit of a catch up onto there, but our big plan for us is we do need to be first to market. We want to use our connection with our university and the robotic rehabilitation studies to get our name out there so that medical institutions trust us. Because if you don't have them on board, it's very difficult. So if we're first to market and we can own that in Australia, and currently there's only 3 units that are similar to this in Australia. So if we can own that, we're going to be the first one there to really have it. And then we'll go into our patent part once we get our product development completely done, and that'll protect us a bit as well.
I think this is probably because I've run large sales organizations for quite a while. But what struck me is your 5-year sales volume of 41 units. What would you have to believe to add a 0 to the end of that or more?
People believing in robots a hell of a lot more. I think this is going to be a slow process to start off with. I think if we looked at 10 years, we'll be adding a lot of zeros to it. But if the first 5 years, we've got a slow process to build that trust onto there. I think the sales and revenue goes up a fair bit if we look further and further. But medical institutions in Australia don't particularly move quickly, and we're mindful of that. That's why we ask for $500,000 from our angel investors, so we can stay afloat and stay cash positive the entire time.
Well, great. I've got 2 questions. So the first question is Sydney or Melbourne?
We're from Sydney.
No.
Sorry.
What's the preference? Sydney or Melbourne?
I'm still going to say Sydney.
Sorry, I lived there for 5 years.
Yeah.
I lived in Melbourne for 5 years. That's why I'm asking the question. But anyway. And if the audience doesn't know, Australia's capital is between the 2 cities because they couldn't agree which should be the capital. So there's a lot of...
we pretty much just made a little town for that, didn't we? Yeah.
So anyway, so my question actually has more to do with financials, and I see some here. As far as the robotics component, how much of that is assumed? So you mentioned some hospitals may have it. Are you assuming it's always one? You have to buy the full unit to have your solution, or are you thinking in terms of there's going to be a sharing model over time as you think of your financials?
This is at the moment, it is a by the unit.
Okay.
We also will explore the option of looking at renting the unit onto there so that we can improve the accessibility. To get onto the market though and stay kind of cash positive, we don't have to sell it, but as we approach regional areas and we go to the Northern Territory where it is extremely remote, they can't afford to be buying $90,000 units, let alone our competitors at $250,000 to $500,000. So if we approach that model, that's going to really help us out, but we're going to be looking at that probably in the future.
Okay, great, thanks.
It's just really a comment. If you see businesses similar to you selling medical devices, a lot of them really are leased. Things from laser eye surgery through radiation machines, right on the line. You can really drop your barrier to entry, your price point quite quickly, and expand to add another 0 in a hurry.
Okay, cool. That's a great comment. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay.